back to my channel. In this video, I would like to talk to you about how I have been coping with lockdown and the general COVID-19 pandemic as an autistic person and someone who also struggles with obsessive compulsive disorder around germs and hygiene and getting sick. So, I first found out about the coronavirus back in January when I was listening to Radio 4, and I suddenly heard a news announcement saying that a new virus had been discovered in China. I immediately turned the radio off and kind of thought, oh, that doesn't sound too great, and I don't really want to know about this because obviously it's really triggering. And sort of put it to the back of my mind to try not to think about it. But obviously over time, you have to confront what's happening, and people were talking about it and things like that. So over time, eventually I had to find out, what was going on, because, oh my God, this does sound quite bad. And then I found out about it, and my real concern was kind of just about trying to stay safe, I kind of use my logical mind, because I'm a very logical person as well, to try and deal with the facts and find out about it, because normally my way of dealing with things is to avoid the news because it's highly triggering. But once we're in a situation and I know that there's no getting out, then I need to find out as much about it as possible, because that helps me to understand it, and facts and information can help me feel more in control. So I kind of did research it to death, looking at all the statistics and everything, just to kind of try and understand it and to reassure myself. And that has actually helped me. I know for some people they can find it overwhelming and it doesn't help them, but for me it actually has helped me. Normally the news is, as I say, is highly triggering, but once we're in a situation and there's no getting out from it, then it becomes the opposite, and then finding out about it from obviously reputable sources can actually be quite helpful. But yeah, my main priority right now is staying safe, and I think I follow the same routine every day, and I always have done. I'm very, very routine focused, and I think this makes things feel ordered, even while the outside world is dangerous and chaotic. My routines, my ordered way of dealing with the world can obviously be hindering in some respects, obviously, because they narrow my horizons and can make trying new things very difficult, and getting outside of my comfort zone difficult. But at the same time, they can be, I think, quite useful as when we're in quite stressful situations. They can actually be an advantage in some respects, because they help. That tunnel vision, that sort of narrowness of focus, can help me just get on with life, because as long as as long as the details of my routine don't change, it can really help me cope. So I am very motivated to get up every day to start my routine, which always involves baking usually, because obviously I'm majorly interested in food. That's my major special interest, and I absolutely love cooking. I'm very, very passionate about cooking. And that hasn't stopped because I'm in lockdown. It is rather frustrating that I can't get the same amount of food, and I can't be quite as adventurous with my cooking as I could before, and I don't have so much control over it because my dad is doing my shopping for me right now. Because of my OCD, I cannot go into shops. My OCD is bad at the best of times around hygiene, and when someone coughs or sneezes, I'm right at the other end of the store. But right now, there is just no way I can go into a shop. So my dad's doing cooking and shopping for me. I did try and get online delivery, but obviously I can't. There's no way in living hell right now, unless you're in a real vulnerable group for the disease, that you can get an online slot. So unfortunately, my dad's having to do that for me. So I can't get as much variety of food as normal, but with the food I am getting in, I'm still able to do some cooking with that, and I've been doing a lot of mug cakes, microwave mug cakes, and things with granola and oats and stuff like that. So I always get up and try and make something nice in the morning, and that motivates me and helps me get through. Where was I? So as I say, so since eating food and cooking is my major passion, This means that this part of my routine is more or less consistent. Having this element of sameness with something I enjoy is helping me to cope as an autistic person at this time. My reading routine is also the same. I've always read for 2 hours in the morning. That's a very important kind of sacred part of my routine. And this routine has not changed because of lockdown. In actual fact, very little has changed in my life, which again might be why I'm coping, say, surprisingly well considering my issues. I think lockdown can be harder if, say, it's a massive change to your normal routine, but because being autistic and with all of my issues, I've basically been in lockdown, obviously not this extreme, but some form of lockdown basically all my life because of my mental state. I do live pretty much like a hermit anyway. I'm very isolated, so I mean, not much has changed in my life. There have been changes, and I do find change really difficult, but I think because I had a lot of advance notice, I had months essentially to process what was happening. And I know exactly why things are happening. And because of my OCD, my first priority is to stay safe and not get this disease. So that obviously then kind of in a sense maybe counteracts some of the stress over the little changes that have occurred. But as I say, because my first priority is to stay safe, that's my driving motive right now. But obviously the changes that have happened, I had lots of time to prepare for them. I know why they're happening. I know what's behind it, and most of my routine is the same. So actually not much has changed, really, and I think that's why I'm dealing with it as well as I can, because not much has changed in my life. Most of the things that I enjoy in my life are the same. My special interests have not changed. My ability to pursue those have not changed, and I think that's what's helping me stay sane. So I do my reading as normal. And I have a very, very long list of books to read, and I keep the list of books in this book here. This is my book and film list book. It's full of books and films, and I tick them off as I go through them. So once a week I go on Amazon and I get some of these books and DVDs and tick them off my list. Because that's a major part of my what keeps me focused and sane. I absolutely love reading. I'm a bookworm. And this helps me hyper-focus on things not connected to the pandemic. A lot of my mental space is taken up with thinking about what books I will next read or what I will next make for breakfast. Sometimes this can be a little bit stressful. Special interests are like a double-edged sword. They're great, and I would not be... they keep me sane, and I absolutely love having special interests, and getting really focused into them is really good because it stops me thinking about what's going on outside. But it can also be a little bit stressful as well sometimes because, and a bit overwhelming when there's so many things I want to watch, so many things I want to read, so many things I want to cook, and then thinking, how am I going to plan this? What am I going to do next? That can be quite stressful. But at the same time, at least it's stress that's not connected to the coronavirus. So that's what I mean about being a double-edged sword. It does take my mind off the coronavirus. So I can spend hours not thinking about it because my brain space is taken up with these other things. So I talked about the microwave mug cakes. I'll be doing lots of those. Crumbles and cobblers at the moment. So I follow the same routine every day, and this predictability is helping me cope, as I've already said. So autism causes me a lot of problems, as I've often talked about in my videos, and it's important not to underestimate those problems because they are quite profound. But on the positive side, I think autism can help me cope because of the way I stick to ordered schedules and routines. So I hardly ever get bored. Boredom is not a concept I'm really that familiar with. The only times I really get bored are when I'm with people that don't interest me. When I'm with other people I'm not interested in, or made to do things not in my routine or control. So this can be a problem because I am so routine focused. It's really hard for me to do things that aren't in my routine or that don't give me pleasure. I know, well, everyone will say, oh, well, none of us like to do things that don't give us pleasure and so on. But with autism, it's like, yeah, but this is like taken to the next level because it's like this neurological thing, because you're so hyper-focused on doing the things that you're obsessed with. It can then be really obviously hard to... This is a real physical thing. I don't think people understand that. It's not about being lazy or anything like that. This is a real physical thing. You know, and it could be really stressful at times because I'm aware I need to do these other things and that stresses me out. But you get so hyper-focused on doing your interests or your routines. So the only times I get bored really are when I'm not doing my interests or routines. But most of the time I'm not bored. You know, I don't have a mental space to be bored. There's too much going on in here for me to be bored. So that can be a positive, I think, not getting bored. So I can spend days without seeing anyone. You know, I have this ability, and it doesn't make me down or anything. You know, I'm okay in my own company. You know, I actually thrive in my own company. Many people think that's hell, but to me, I thrive in my own company. So it does not bother me as I like my own company. I thrive when alone. Although I do like to connect with others, you know, I'm not a total hermit. I do like to know that others are there should I need them, and I do like some social contact at times. It's just that I've got a very small pot. And the internet is great at providing this human connection. So after reading, I always go out for a 30-minute walk. That's an important part of my routine. And this can be stressful because of my OCD and fears around people getting too close to me. But the walk is in my routine, and this helps me manage it better. And I do have control ultimately. You know, I have that control. I can avoid people. Obviously, sometimes it does get annoying when they do come too close. You like, get that way, and you know you can't always control everyone. But there is an element of control there. Because it's in my routine, I think this helps me manage it better. And I am very good at logically rationalising my fears, because I know that by staying at least 6 feet apart, which I do at all times, I actually try and stay more than 6 feet apart. 6 feet's a bare minimum for me. Ideally, I try and stay at least 10 feet apart. But I know that my risk of catching illness outside is very low. I've also been reminding myself that I'm doing all I can to avoid catching illness, and the rest is out of my control, because you can only do so much. I've become a lot better at dealing with my OCD over the years, and when I do get an OCD thought, such as, oh no, that person got too close, will I catch the disease? My interest in routine soon silence the thought, at least for some time. I mean, often the thought does come back, and it can be really quite distracting and upsetting, but my hyper-focus does keep that thought at bay for quite a long period of time. So autism, again, can counteract the impact of my OCD, sort of a self-corrective mechanism. So as I say, autism maybe does have some good aspects. So I'm going to move on to video number 2 now to carry on talking about how I'm coping with lockdown. So moving on to video number 2 now.